I come across a statement Bruce Springsteen said that I thought was great, very touching. He said Donald Trump did not deliver on the factories or the jobs returning from overseas or much else for working class. The only thing he delivered on was resentment, division, and the talent for getting our countrymen at each other's throats. He made good on that, and that is how he thrives. Let's talk about it. I feel like it's true, but I feel like what he said takes away from what happened. It isn't as though we're fighting each other because we're wrong about this and they're right about this. Republicans are choosing to put forward alternate facts, which is, quote, wink, wink, a world they want to live in that's not real, and they're denying reality. That's what alternate facts is. They're not teaching kids in the 5th grade about critical race theory. And notice how they changed. Notice how it went from like critical race theory and like they're making white kids hate themselves to like they're trying to make kids gay. Like notice how it always changes. That what they say yesterday, you know what I mean? Like they're not like focused on one thing. They're just always moving to whatever the next Overton window is. And you never hear the end of one issue because they're going on to the next one, which is all crap. Like I said. And I like to deal with it, all of it, because it's all bullshit. And that's how it should be encountered. It shouldn't be, well, there was a point on this, it's all bullshit. Like Michael Brooks said, right? They can say something here and there, it sounds good, but the end wages of it is genocide. And we need to focus on the bullshit they say and call it out as we find it out. Because that's what woke me up. So I was never into I was never really into this like race war. They're trying to kill off white children. I was never into that. I was never a Republican, but I was concerned about glyphosates and Michael, Alex Jones talking about, the chemicals out there in the waters in Florida. I was making alligators and other amphibians grow up a lot slower. And, he's made it. They're gay. That's not. I didn't see it that way back then. I saw it more as they're like defects and stuff, and they grow slower. So that means that they're more likely to be preyed upon. They're not going to grow up fast enough and get away. They're gonna grow up slower. That's not a hermaphroditic thing. That's not. They're not. It's not a sexual thing. But do you see? In the absence of a world that was discussing those things, I got pulled into the all right. That's what happens. Is that we have systems that are not functioning and doing what they should be doing, so people who are intelligent get pulled into the far right. So we have to call it out. For me, it was the black men getting arrested in that Starbucks in I think it was in Seattle, where they were going there to meet with a white man, do a business meeting, and they wanted to use the restroom, and they called the cops on them. They went to jail, and they didn't even know that, like I say, by the time the manager came up there, police were already called. There was nothing more to debate about. They're arguing with her, and the police were on their way. The white man they were supposed to meet actually was there when the cops got there and was telling the cops, hey, I work with them. Like this, and the cops like, you could just sneering at him. And just, wow. And people I knew back then were like, it's private property. That was my realization. I'm not on the right. I own guns and all that, but I'm not a right winger. I am not a Republican. And those men were in jail, I think 6 hours or 11 hours, something like that. They didn't just get booked and leave. They went to jail. They got booked. They got dressed out. And that was wrong. That was my realization that you can be a conservative, but you should understand what that means for a person that's not rich. We're not teaching 8-year-olds critical race theory. That's taught to grad students. No one's doing that. Like I said, now the movement is making them gay. You see how they've moved it. They've moved the discussion. But one thing is this, we know Trump lost all of his cases over the election. All of them. I think it was one case that they messed up something. They didn't win the case. They lost every case. And I think that's important to remember that sometimes. When we look at Republicans and the things they do, that Trump never came up with some kind of opposition to Obamacare. He never did. Sometimes I think that it was always a criminal fraud. Like the whole presidency was just criminal. I mean, now we're learning about, I'm going to do a video on this. They were giving out benzos and all kind of drugs to people who work for the White House who were not prescription, Isn't that crazy? They talk about Joe Biden and find cocaine in the White House. Maybe Trump left it. They're talking about this. And we know that, and I said it before, I think more stuff's coming out. There was a House bill they researched. They found out that, the intelligence agencies did their job on COVID. They warned the right people. They did their job. They said something's coming. Trump did not respond appropriately. That's important. You talk about the deep state. I said it before, it gets me. If there's a deep state, Trump didn't do a whole lot to avoid running afoul of them. I don't like that because it's saying it as though like the left is wrong and the right is wrong. We need to come together. And for me, it's that, no, we don't. It was 75 degrees in South Carolina last week in January, in the end of January. We're not wrong about anything. They're wrong, and they're carrying on a politics of falsehood, and they're carrying on a politics of hate, and they're carrying forward a politics of really anti-Semitism with Jewish space lasers and stuff. They're carrying forward certain ideologies and certain ideas that just one of hate, and it's important to remember that. And there is no debate. You may have people on the left that have done bad things or committed crimes, but what we're trying to do is not wrong. We're trying to, create and move upon empirical evidence, and they're creating and moving upon hate. So I don't like that. I get it that Bruce Springsteen is, he's probably not very political. He just knows certain things, but we're not wrong about anything. The right is, and they will continue to be wrong.